The Gel-Cumulus is in my favorite category of running shoes. It's a workhorse trainer with a durable foam, a thick outsole, and it's designed to keep you cruising for hundreds of miles through either high mileage marathon training or the joys of everyday running. So the 25th version saw some pretty big changes. Asics evolved their design language like they did here in the Nimbus, brought a lot of new runners into the Asics fold. They cleaned up the design of the shoes, they added some more swooping modern elements to it, and they did away with the visible gel units that used to be in the heel of those old Cumulus and Nimbus shoes. Now, as we're entering into the 26th version of both the Nimbus and the Cumulus, it seems that they're also reverting a little bit to some of that more traditional staid dad shoe, or should I say granddad shoe, because I'm a dad, granddad shoe aesthetic of yore. So in this video, I'm gonna break down all those aesthetic changes of the Cumulus. I'm also gonna give you my thoughts on where they're taking the shoe in terms of the market, where this is gonna fit in versus some of those other competitors, and who this is gonna be best for when it hits the scene later this year. Alright guys, before we dig into the Cumulus, if you haven't checked out the Running Shoe Matcher tool and you're looking for new shoes, head to runningshoematcher.com. This is a really cool tool I built that matches you with the best shoe for you based on your goals and preferences. So you answer 5 questions: what type of shoe you're looking for, if you want a tempo shoe, a daily trainer, or a race day shoe, whether you like your shoes soft or firm, and we will match you with the best shoe for you. So it's live right now and it's free. You can check it out at runningshoematcher.com. There's also a link in the description below. Alright, let's get into it. This update to the Gel-Cumulus looks to be an evolution of the existing shoe and not a revolution. Whereas the 24 to 25th version saw more of a revolution. We saw the gel unit in the heel being hidden. We saw the foam softened up, really advanced. We also saw a brand new aesthetic integrating more of that tiger stripe framework onto the midsole, and overall a cleaner looking shoe. The 26th version looks to retain most of the similar specs that we're seeing in 25. The 25 came in at 8.9 ounces, which is straight down the middle of that workhorse daily trainer segment. It had a heel stack of 36.5 and it had a forefoot stack of 28.5 for an 8mm drop. Now, this is a neutral shoe. Asics does have some other stability options using the same foam, namely the Gel Cayano. They also have the GT2000, which is a bit of a firmer shoe. This is gonna be best for runners who don't need a bunch of overpronation support, especially given that is a higher stack of foam. Asics has a ton of these cushioned training shoes. They have the Nova Blast, they have the Super Blast, they have the Nimbus. Where this one slots in the lineup is it's not gonna be as soft as the Nova Blast and the Nimbus. It's gonna be a bit more able to handle those faster paces of training. It's gonna be able to handle those aerobic base building ones where you might have some strides in there. It's not gonna be as relaxed feeling as the Nova Blast. It's not gonna be as comfortable feeling as the Gel Nimbus. Now the midsole here is still going to be using that FF Blast Plus foam. This is a beautifully soft compound. The one downside to it is, especially in the Nimbus series of shoes, which I have here, the foam in this guy, it has not been as durable as I would have liked it. It gave out at about 250 miles. You can still run in it, of course. It still has some of that protection to prevent your legs from feeling super beat up, but it starts to feel a little bit dead. It starts to feel heavier, a little bit of that quicksand feeling where you want to get some turnover in your legs, and it's just not giving you as much response as you'd like. So that's the downside of FF Blast, but the positive side of FF Blast, specifically in the Gel-Cumulus, is that this is going to be a really comfortable shoe for daily training, especially if we look at some of those other options in this category like the Nike Pegasus and the Adizero SL. So the Pegasus here uses React foam. React is a TPEE. There's nothing special about it. It's not overly soft. It's not overly bouncy. It just kind of gets the job done. That FF Blast Plus foam that we're seeing in the Cumulus is going to be a lot more comfortable, a lot softer, also a little bit more responsive than we're seeing in this Nike Pegasus here. Now, if we compare it to the Adizero SL, this is not a comfort-oriented shoe. This is a faster daily training type of shoe. I absolutely love it as my workhorse. This is my favorite workhorse trainer. But what the Gel-Cumulus 26 is going to offer that this doesn't offer is, again, a little bit more comfort for those longer miles. This uses Light Strike in the midsole, which is an EVA-based compound. It's a bit firmer, and then there's a little bit of a puck of Light Strike Pro up here in the forefoot. So whereas the gimmick of this is the Light Strike Pro, the gimmick of the Cumulus is that gel unit in the heel. That gel unit is designed for comfort, whereas the gimmick in here is designed for speed. So that's going to be the trade-off, right? In general, those Asics shoes throughout the whole line are a bit more relaxed feeling. Cumulus isn't going to be as relaxed as some of the other shoes in the line, but a lot more relaxed than other workhorse trainers we see like the Adizero and the Pegasus. Now the ride of the 26 looks to keep that cushioned, soft, and smooth character that we see in the 25. There aren't huge changes to either the way we're seeing the midsole stacked here or the geometry of the shoe. Now the midsole stack is one component, the softness of the foam is the other component, and the geometry is the third component that really determines how a shoe rides. So we know that the midsole is going to be the exact same formula that FF Blast Plus. We know that the stack is going to be roughly similar. I don't have specs, but you can see from the picture here that it looks pretty similar to the 25. And then we can also see that the geometry is basically identical. There's not going to be a huge rocker here. If you want a rocker daily trainer, then you should go for something like the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 or even the Hoka Mach 5. That's a little bit faster, but the Cumulus isn't going to have a huge rockered experience. There is a slight one up in that forefoot, but again, this is not a shoe designed for speed. It's a shoe designed for durability and comfort. Now, one thing that could be different about the midsole here is if you look at this blue colorway, you can see the bottom of the midsole has a white strip of foam. Now, it's possible that this is just a design aesthetic, that it's FF Blast Plus. It's also possible that this is FF Blast or some slightly firmer compound. FF Blast is a standard EVA. Possible it's a slightly firmer compound to add a little bit more of responsiveness and stability to this platform. Now, I don't have this confirmed, but based on the color difference here, it is possible that they're using a dual foam framework. However, with the gel unit and the heel, that is a lot going on if we have gel unit and two foams, but we shall see when this comes out. If it does turn out to be that dual foam, this might give it a bit more of a faster, aggressive feeling than the Cumulus 25. Now the upper looks pretty similar. I'm going to pull out my Nimbus again here because the upper on the Cumulus and the Nimbus are the same. The difference that I'm seeing in the 26 from the 25 of both of these shoes is that it looks like the upper has a bit more breathability in the 26. That was one of the key issues in the 25 Nimbus and 25 Cumulus, is that if you look at this material here, it's like a cotton t-shirt. It's like a beautifully soft, supple, nice old shirt from your fraternity that you have lying in that drawer that's just been worn to a nice cozy little thread over the years. The downside of that type of a feel is that it's going to be a lot warmer. It just covers your foot almost like a blanket. I use the shoe a lot in the summer and it does really heat up your foot. Based on these pictures, it looks like they've opened up the forefoot a little bit, added some more holes and breathability to that mesh. It looks like a similar knit type of situation, but with a little bit more breathability, which is a step in the right direction. Now the Nimbus is a lot more padded up in the back here than the Cumulus is, but if we look at the 25 and 26 Cumulus, you'll see they look pretty similar in terms of the amount of padding. Again, this is not a speed-oriented shoe. It's coming in at about 9 ounces, so a decent amount of padding there up in the upper is exactly what we want to see. And it looks like it's retaining that same setup in the 26. In terms of durability here, this is going to be standard when it comes to these workhorse trainer type of shoes, maybe a little bit on the low end due to that FF Blast Plus being on the softer side, also due to Asics not being known for having the best rubber on the bottom of their shoes. So again, I'm going to pull out my Nimbus here to show you how the rubber has worn. It's pretty similar outsole to the Cumulus, and you can see here this one has about 270, 280, almost 300 miles, and I'm a little bit of a heel striker here, so you can see I'm starting to wear down all of the texture of this rubber here, and also starting to wear into the foam after 300 miles. So if you're a forefoot striker, you probably see a lot of that abrasion in the foam up here on the pad, maybe even around this big toe area. These shoes are still runnable at 300 miles, and you could probably take them to 450 depending on your appetite, depending on your budget, but you are going to start to see some degradation in the Cumulus and Nimbus line of shoes around that 250 to 325 mile mark. Now compared to the Audi Zero SL and the Pegasus, those shoes have been a lot more resistant to high mileage for me than the Asics shoes. That's why I'm putting this in the low to average category of durability. Unless we see a brand new rubber pattern unveiled here on the Cumulus 26, which I'm pretty sure is not going to happen, then you can expect to get average durability out of this shoe. In terms of who this shoe is going to be best for, this is a great option if you want a soft, cushioned, and smooth riding shoe for everyday runs. It's not going to be the most aggressive daily trainer. It's not going to be a fast option, but it's also not going to be super relaxed and as squishy as a max cushion shoe like a Nova Blast or a Nimbus. If you need a little bit more stability and support, you can look to the GT2000 or the Gel-Cumulus from Asics, but this is going to be a good option for neutral running shoes who want a standard, solid, do-it-all trainer. All right, guys, there you have it. That is my preview and market analysis on the upcoming Cumulus 26. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back with another video tomorrow.